I've discussed quite a bit in the past about having a near-death experience over 50 years ago now, and gone into quite a bit of detail about what that was like. There have been two other peak experiences that have happened to me since I had that initial near-death, and I'd like to share them with you. I'll share the second one and how important that was and how powerful that was to me. So it's part of a sort of a series of explaining these events and these experiences, and take from it what you will. It's not important for me to convince you of anything. I'm just sharing what happened for me. And if it's able to give you some understanding or some insight for yourself, and so that you can then have your own experiences, well, that's really what I'm on about. So after I had the experience of dying in a hospital situation when I was 15, nearly 16, about 5 years later, it would have been 5 years, I had another very powerful experience which kind of continued on from the initial experience. So I'd been living with some friends, and we'd come from the Northern Territory and we'd come to live in the northern part of Queensland, the Atherton Tablelands. And we, as a sort of a backstory, you need to know a little bit of that, we had been regularly meeting and meditating together. So we all kind of had this idea that if we sat together and we spent time together and we meditated together, that A, we'd get on a lot better, which did make a big difference. It did definitely help that. And B, we all had this desire and interest to grow spiritually. And at that stage, we were really hoping that the world was going to wake up and it was going to be peace and love and mung beans. And this was back in 1980, and it didn't quite happen. But we were very enthusiastic about wanting to grow personally and connect with other like-minded souls and form a community. And I still have that dream today, and that goes onwards. But what had actually happened was I was sitting on the back steps in a shared house. We were all renting this house together. And after we'd done a really powerful meditation the evening before, and one of the ladies in the group used to drop into a very deep state and do like channeling stuff. So we'd get these inspired sort of conversations coming from a place within herself, and it was at that stage we understood that there was such things as guides or guardian angels, or it's got different names in different cultures. Anyway, so we were very open and enthusiastic about learning more. Like at that point in my life, I was still like, I'm so young, I don't know much yet, and any new thing, I'm into it. So here I am sitting on the back steps of this newly rented house in the farmlands, and I'm looking out at these cane paddocks, and well, actually it wasn't cane, it was tobacco back then was being grown, and it was very peaceful, and we had some music playing in the background, and I just dropped into this state where it was like I was starting to go back into the near-death experience. So I was still very much in the body, but this sense of being opened happened again. So this sense of energy flowing into the top of my head, and I was probably in that space for a good 10 minutes. And so this energy started to pour into me, and the other people in the house were just doing their thing. They had no idea that I was having this really amazing, very blissful experience. And as this energy was coming into me and just pouring into me, I felt like I was a big cup and I was being opened up, and it's just pouring in, pouring in. I couldn't talk. It was not possible to, it was just quite an overwhelming feeling. And And once again, I had this feeling like in the initial experience of being completely expanded. I was so much bigger. I felt like I was becoming huge. I was being inflated. And it was incredible. Like, once again, very hard to describe the feeling, but it was awesome. That's the only way that's kind of words that I can describe it. And as this thing was unfolding, it was like I was getting a download of information, and I was being told that this is your future. This is where you're inevitably going to get to. It didn't say in any time sequence. It didn't give me that, but it was like, this is your destiny. You're going to become this. You're going to come back to this. This is who you really are. And at that stage, I'd been learning and studying, and got our kookaburras there. I'd been really interested in the idea of the soul and the spirit and spirit guides, and what was all that stuff and what did that mean. And I'd been researching ancient cultures and other religions to try and get an understanding of that. And there was this, not in actual words, but in thoughts and feelings, there was this voice again, and I realized it was actually the voice of what I would now call the higher self, or my higher self. And it was giving me this loving, awesome, incredible experience, and sharing with me that this is who I really am, and this is who I really am going to come back to, and that this is the essence that we've all left. So it wasn't just for me. It wasn't about, oh, I'm special and it's only for me. It was sort of saying, this is the destiny for everyone, and that life on this planet was very particularly organized and had an actual meaning to it. And it was sharing with me that being here in this physical form, that we collectively as humans had completely left home. We'd completely lost our way. And it actually said to me, because I'd grown up with Christianity as my background, Roman Catholic, it said, go back and have a look in the Bible with the story of the prodigal son. And it said that's kind of the essence of what I was being shown. And so it was like this leaving of home, leaving of the kingdom, if you want to call it that, and going on this journey and getting quite lost, and we all do this. We all leave home. We all have this experience of going, where the heck am I? Who am I? What's it all about? How's it going to work? Where am I going to go with it? And so I was being given this incredible feeling, and it was so strong. Like I said, I could not talk. I couldn't make a noise. I couldn't make any sound. And I was just like, oh my God, I am just huge right now. And as this energy was flowing into me, it was like flowing out of me as well. And it was coming into the house, it was going out all around me. And I'm like, this is freaking awesome. And all it could convey to me was, this is love. This is what real love is. It's not about being nice. It's not about being polite. It's not about even being human. It was like I was being used for this energy to go through me and out. And the only thing that I wanted to do was to keep giving this energy. It was the highest high I have ever experienced while I've been here in this human body. So it was the same feeling that I touched on when I had the near death, but it was like part 2. And it was just the most incredible experience. And after about 10 minutes, it then just began to ease down. The intensity eased down, and then slowly got less and less and less. It was like, okay, I've had the download now, and it began to just gently disperse, to diminish. But I was like, oh, and I could feel that my body, I could start to move again, I could start to speak. And I turned around and I said to the other people in the house, you would not believe what's just happened to me. And they went, oh really? Oh, far out, what is that? And I couldn't really at that stage put it into words. And they said, wow, you just look so different. Your eyes have gone this remarkable blue colour. And I said, I'll share it with you when I can, but I need to just go for a walk and kind of assimilate what's just happened to me. And I later realised that there was like part 2 of a series of experiences that I was going to have. And the good news, the thing I really want to impart to you is it's available for you too. This is not a special deal to selected ones. This is for all of us. And the time is coming more and more where this is becoming more accessible, more available. And so that souls en masse, millions of us, are going to experience the intensity of what it's like to go back home while still living here in a physical body. So I hope that gives you a bit of inspiration and upliftment for your days, especially if your days are a bit tough and life's a bit heavy. Hang in there, it's all totally worthwhile.